Let's talk about what's coming over our southern border. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I feel like there's certain topics that are just getting to be like, we know. We know that there's all kinds of bad people coming across our southern border. It is my contention that President Joe Biden is trying to import an entirely new voting bloc. That is just a fact. So this is all by design. Does it matter that 24,000 U.S., let me look this up, 24,000 Chinese migrants crossing from Mexico in the past 12 months? Does it matter to Joe Biden? Of course not. Because you know what Joe Biden sees in these 24,000 Chinese migrants crossing from Mexico in the last 12 months? He sees future voters, I would say. That is up 10 times from the year before. I mean, these numbers are massive. And so basically what they're doing is these Chinese nationals, they're flying into, well, they're not Chinese nationals, they're Chinese migrants flying into Mexico or some of these other nations like Honduras, El Salvador, whatever. But then they come through Mexico and they come right across our southern border and we don't do a damn thing. So that's part of what's going on is all these Chinese migrants, and we don't know what they're doing. We don't know what they're planning to do. We probably don't have an ID on them, at least not one that is valid. By the way, here's another one. Migrant caravan. Told you about this yesterday. Very quickly. Migrant caravan headed north. Swells by 1,000 people in 24 hours. We're now up to 7,000 to 8,000. Again, as Chinese influencers are showing migrants how to cross the U.S. southern border. So, yeah, I played you audio from the organizer of this massive swell coming to our southern border. I played you audio from him yesterday. Remember, he was the guy that said, you know, he's just taking advantage of the system. And he blasted our President Joe Biden for just not having a border policy. He's absolutely right. And so that is why you have now these 5 Democrat mayors. I did reference this story earlier. We got 5 Democrat mayors in the biggest cities across America that are now demanding that Joe Biden give them, $5 billion. You know what this whole thing is? This whole thing is an unfunded mandate from the federal government. That's what it is. You know, the federal government says, you got to do this. And local cities and states are like, well, how do we pay for it? It doesn't matter. You got to do this. Well, that's what's happening. I mean, Joe Biden, he is importing this new voting bloc and in a few years. And so, the Democrat cities are trying to figure out how to pay for all these folks. I was telling you earlier I'll see if I can find that story. Telling you earlier about that new red light district in New York, where you have all of these women, Venezuelan women, who are, participating, if you will, in this red light district, this all new red light district in New York, which is causing all kinds of problems. And you can thank Joe Biden for that. The mayors of Chicago, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, and New York say the White House has given them no help with the surge in arrivals. They say that they need $5 billion of federal help to deal with all of this. The coalition was organized by Democrat Denver Mayor Mike Johnston. I know I sound like a broken record. I know that we all sound like a broken record, but, these folks get what they pay for, and here's the deal. The big issue is that these Democrats who are not in these bigger cities and they're not satisfied with the way that Biden is handling the border. And by the way, there's new polling out today. I shared some of this with you earlier, that it's clear that even Democrats are not happy with Joe Biden. But he's still leading in the polls. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It almost seems like the Republicans are the party of personal responsibility. Here's what I mean by that. So if there is a Republican that is by and large not adhering to conservative values, then that Republican will get primaried. But see, the Democrats, they will openly complain about what is happening in their cities with the crime and the illegal aliens and all of that, but they'll still vote for the same party. I would say to Denver Mayor Mike Johnston and some of these other folks, all right, if you don't like what your Democrat president is doing, then why don't you change to a Republican or an independent? Because when I'm going to put this in air quotes, when the leader of the free world is doing what he's doing and he is destroying your cities, which is what some of these mayors are saying. I mean, Eric Adams, remember what Eric Adams said when Eric Adams said that New York is not going to survive this. Well, then change your party to the Republican Party or become an independent. Because if the leader of your party is destroying your city, does it make any sense to stay that party? You know how many people I know have left the Republican Party because they're not happy with the direction of the Republican Party? Many. And so they will deem themselves as conservatives without calling themselves Republicans. That's kind of how I feel. Or they'll go all in on being an independent. Very few Democrats will actually leave the Democrat Party. They're just, quite frankly, they're a bunch of lemmings. That's part of the beauty for the people in leadership within the Democrat Party is they're rarely held accountable for their actions, i.e. Joe Biden. Obviously. So again, not to sound like a broken record, but it makes all the sense in the world that these mayors would complain. However, the people of those cities, they keep voting for the same party.